Everyone, thanks a ton for joining us. My name's Erik Hatch of Hatch Realty and Hatch Coaching. I'm here out of Fargo, North Dakota. Yes, there are people in Fargo, North Dakota. I just happen to be one of three of them. It's been a joy. I've ran our real estate team now, and I've been in real estate full-time for 10 years, and we've had a team for the last 8.5 or so. It's been a spectacular run. The last 4 years, we've been a top 50 real estate team in the country, which has just been awesome to do. And we're actually on pace to have our best year ever right now, despite COVID. We just came through April and had our biggest month that we've ever had, which is really, really cool. And hoping that we're going to continue that trend. I started a coaching company about 4 years ago because I was passionate about trying to make a difference in the real estate industry. And I wanted to influence people in the best sort of way. And this is how we land here today. Hatch Realty is like the testing ground for a lot of things. My real estate company is where I test it before I teach it. I learn, I earn, I redo and rehash it. And then we go and we put it out there and we share it for people. Totally free. There's no sales pitch here, but there are some opportunities I'll share with you along the way of things that you can do. But frankly, we have a great group of people joining us today. I think a lot of rainmakers and powerful business folks from all around the United States and Canada. And we're talking about iBuyers. And I'm curious, put in the chat box here any questions you have, but I want to know how many of you are currently acting as or serving as an iBuyer? Are you investing in property through your real estate company? If you have a couple rentals, that's fine, but are you investing as an iBuyer, following along that trend and offering it to clients? If you are, please post in here, because we have kind of a range of people who are doing this, and it's important to see where folks are at. I'll tell you my numbers in very honest details. Chemo Offers just did that. Michael doesn't know how to offer an iBuyer option. Great, we're gonna cover all that. And for those that are doing the iBuyer stuff, there is a really big win. We're learning as we go. And I've learned my way to some very big pains, but I've also learned my way to some very, very big gains. And so I'm gonna jump over to my slideshow presentation. I gotta share my screen here with you. Wrong one. Give me 1 second here. Boop, boop, boop. There it is. That's what I want to do. I also make a lot of sound effects as I go, so I hope you can put up and deal with that. All right. You should all be able to see this. And we are talking about a must-do strategy for those considering instant offers. I'm going to walk you through from a 100 level, and then we're going to quickly go 200, 300, and 400 level. So if you have questions, please ask them. Let this be a conversation and not a presentation, because I want you to walk away saying, I'm more prepared to do this, or I've been doing this and now I have more knowledge and power on how to win. And so I'm going to share with you all my numbers, all the inside nitty-gritty details. And again, ask a ton of questions, please. It'll help to make this a more robust presentation. But otherwise, I can just talk to my webcam, and that's exciting for me too. So here's the real numbers, gang. I live in a market where the average sales price is $230,000. I've grossed almost $1.5 million in the last 21 months with a net of $1 million doing this. Between commissions and added equity and investment dollars and now wholesale fees, we brought in $1.5 million, and my profit on that is $1 million in less than 2 years. I think that in the next 12 months, I'll probably net about another $1 million doing this. It's obscene. I start with this, and I am the least braggadocious, money-centric person you can find. I'm a guy that is confident, but I don't want to brag about what I have. Like, my background is in ministry, and talking about money was always super weird. Now I'm the guy that has figured out, despite and on top of, not despite, but on top of all my other businesses, like I have my real estate team that's producing income, and I have my coaching company. I have a marketing company that I own. I, in fact, have about 25 different businesses that I own. And this is the most lucrative thing I'm doing. Let's get deeper into this. We're offering our sellers, I'm a realtor like all of you that are on this, and we're offering our seller options. So this shows up through our marketing. We have different channels on what we're doing, and then certainly in the conversations that we have. We will send out this slideshow afterwards. And so if you're wondering, can I get this? Can I get the goods? Can I get the stuff? Yes, absolutely, positively, we're going to send this out to you. Number one, and we'll send out the recording also, so you'll get all that. Number one is we offer to list traditionally. That's what all y'all are doing right now is here's your options of how to list a house. And your option is, well, we can put it on the market and here's our strategy. You can expect this many days on market, these kind of price reductions, this kind of thing to come up in inspections, an appraiser to possibly flag these things. Like, that's not a sexy offer, gang. You know what I mean? Like, that's not a sexy offer at all. And I want you to think about that for just a very brief moment. We're offering pain. You know what I mean? We're offering, here's a track that you can go down that kind of sucks. And it's what we do as realtors is we help them navigate through the suck. But the biggest pain that sellers have is not finances. We think that it's finances, but it's not. The biggest pains that sellers have are uncertainty and interruptions. They don't know when their life is going to be disturbed. They have a closing date that they need to figure out. They inherited a house. They have all this stuff that's just over the top annoying. It's not money that's their number one concern. It's uncertainty and interruptions. And amidst the COVID stuff that's going on right now, I think everybody's exhausted with uncertainty, which is why the time is so ripe right now for those of you thinking about doing this. It is as opportune today as I have ever seen in the industry. Now, I've been a part of over 4,000 transactions in my decade or so in business, and it's been a learned lesson of what sellers want. Sellers don't want interruptions. They don't want chaos. They oftentimes don't want to do the fixes and the fit ups and the staging and people walking through their house with germs now. Like, we have to provide more options than uncertainty, which is normally the traditional listing route. Hang on, Michael has a question here that has Jonathan laughing. So if you figure out a way to do an iBuyer option, do you compete with them and an ad budget? We're going to get there, man. Yeah, we're going to get there. So lots of stuff to come. I'm not going to go out of order because that'll just throw me off and I'll be super confused. And the confused Eric is a crabby Eric. Let's jump back to it. The second thing that we're offering, if on one side we say we can list you traditionally, and that's what almost all of our marketing used to be around, we put something in the middle here, and that's a $10,000 interest-free loan for upgrades. You see, it's this opportunity to tell people, if you need to do some fixes and fit ups to your house, we're going to give you a $10,000 interest-free loan. You just pay us back when your house closes. And we've put in some steps and some checks and some balances to make sure that we're not, doing fixes on a house that they don't have any equity in, and that they're going to do some home repairs on their own. Instead, they have to work with our general contractor, and our GC is going to wait to get paid until closing. And we just negotiated with them and said, we're going to get you more deals and let's just wait to get paid. And what we find is that as we advertise this $10,000 interest-free loan, not many people take it, but a lot have actually $50,000 to $100,000 in repairs, which is where our iBuyer or our snap offer, as we call it, comes into play. Or they're just going to list traditionally and they want to know their options. So we advertise to list traditionally. We advertise the $10,000 interest-free loan. And the third we're advertising is our snap offer. It is basically maximum convenience that we're offering. Maximum convenience is not the same as maximum price. It's unapologetic that we tell people that, hey, we have investors lined up. By the way, I just happen to be the investor. You don't have to, but that's where you make your real money. You go in and you're offering them usually 65 to 80 cents on the dollar. And it depends on the market that you're in and your average price point and the margins that you have. But we're offering them in our market 70 cents on the dollar. We're dropping that price a little bit because of COVID stuff. We just don't want to get caught with a ton of inventory. And so if they have a $200,000 house that we see as the actual value of the property, we're going to go ahead and we're going to offer them 140,000 bucks. If we offer them 140K, they may say, yes, that's great. That's a wholesale offer. A wholesale offer is not on market, and it is buying it basically direct. Anytime you hear of Open Door and OfferPad and Zillow and the signs that are on every street corner in every major city that says, we buy ugly houses, sell us yours. All of those are wholesalers. They may be investing in it, but they're wholesalers. They're trying to find those opportunities. And the thing is, gang, like those opportunities, I thought nobody would ever take that offer. When my buddy Nick Shivers taught me how to do this a couple of years ago, he in Portland, Oregon told me of all the deals that he was finding. I'm like, no way would anybody want to do this. And then we started learning about the pain that people are in. They just inherited a house and they live halfway across the country. They're in the middle of a divorce. Somebody died. The house is in despair. It's just really rough. They're 2 payments away from foreclosure. We are the best option, and we're not taking advantage of. We're capitalizing on by assuming a big, big risk. Now, the thing I'm going to teach you, especially today, is how to avoid a lot of that risk and still capture massive opportunity. Let's jump back to it. So, of course, the snap offer is a wholesale offer. And if they don't take our offer, what we're doing is now we're shopping that offer. So let's use that example of the $200,000 house that we offered $140,000 on. If I buy it at $140,000, I pay a commission to my company, because investor Eric is different than real estate company owner Eric. Do you see that? So investor Eric buys the house for $140,000, but he also pays a 3% fee to Hatch Realty, because I'm making sure to fund my marketing, and I have agents that do almost all this work for me now. I'm buying almost all these houses without seeing them. I get an email and make a decision in 5 minutes what I'm going to offer. 4 months later, it churns out a $20,000 profit for me. It's pretty fun. And so as we're doing it, and as we're going through, they don't want the 140 offer. They say, no, that 140 doesn't work for me. What we're doing now is we're saying to them, well, what number would be your make me move number? Like, what number is your, okay, if I get this, I can sell my house number? And they're going to maybe say, okay, 160. 160,000 bucks is what they would take to move. Again, to avoid all the interruptions, all the fixes, all the fit up, all the germy people walking through their house. If they could get out of jail free and pick the closing dates and line everything up, would they do it for 160,000? They named that price now. They said no to my 140, but it doesn't mean the deal is dead. Instead, we then have the conversation with them to say, here's what we're going to do. We're going to write an assignable contract on your property. And by the way, all contracts can be assignable unless there's specific language and they're saying that it can't. I actually just learned that today. Anyhow, we offer and write an assignable contract, and we tell them we're going to have a wholesale fee that's attached to this for us to go and try to find the buyer for this. Our goal is to find a buyer, and they're going to come through the house at inspection. We want to minimize your interruptions and help you get what you want, and we're going to take it and try to sell it. So we take it, and we've now lined up 100 to 200 to 300 investor buyers. We put that house in front of them. We tell them, all right, the price isn't 160. They don't know that we're getting it for 160. We tell them the price is 175, because we put on a $15,000 wholesale fee, and we in fact can charge more. And if we think that that house can sell confidently for 185 or 180, we're gonna charge that and just take a bigger fee. You see, this is far different than commission. Okay, this is far different from commission because you're not getting a 3%. You instead are assigning a contract, and you get the meat that's in between. So if I can get the seller to say 160, I put a $15,000 fee on there, and we identify a buyer at 175, they're still getting that house under retail value because we said it's a $200,000 house. So they're getting the house undervalued. They're getting a $25,000 savings. We're collecting a $15,000 fee, which is so much better than commission because we aren't actually representing anybody either. We're just playing matchmaker and then getting the hell out of the way. The seller gets what they want, the buyer gets what they want, and we get so much meat in the middle. Do I have your attention yet? Because this is going to continue to get better. Let's see here. Boo. All right. Here's the options. If you are going to give snap offers, if you are going to do this marketing, remember traditional, we have our $10,000 interest-free loan, and then we have our snap offer. And the snap offer has drummed up for us about 200 new appointments in the last 21 months. Almost 10 a month is what we average. And I'll show you what we're doing for marketing and everything to get that. But there's 4 options that you can do. One is buy and hold. You buy properties and you keep them as rentals. Number 2 is fix and flip. This is a high risk, high reward, very high stakes gambling move. I have made so much easy money doing this. And I've also, I have a deal right now that's fallen apart for the 2nd time. I've owned the house for over a year now, and I'll lose $50,000 to $75,000 on this house. It's high stakes gambling, gang. Number 3 is wholesale. Wholesale means I purchase the property, I actually buy it, and then I put it right back on the market. I put it on the MLS. Wholesaling happens some of the time, but you don't have to have investor dollars to do this. This is where we've added this new option now as our wholesale option. Meaning we're going to assign a contract. We're going to figure out what that price is. And if we see that there's a win for everybody in it, we're going to go shop it to buyers. You don't have to have a dime invested as an investor to wholesale. That's the sexy option right here. I see there's another question. Let me go down. Nate is asking, are you running my wholesale business completely separate from my traditional real estate company? Yes. We've opened up another LLC. I have a team member who is basically the engine for it. I'm a guy that is highly leveraged in almost every area. And so Nate, we opened up another LLC. I'm a 50-50 partner with my guy. And so when we're collecting the fee, he gets a portion of it, I get a portion of it, as well as Hatch Realty gets a portion of it. So it's another move, and it's easy to open an LLC. It's easy to do the wholesale piece. It is obscenely lucrative, and I have no stinking idea why everybody isn't doing it right now, especially because the Zillows and Open Doors have paused and suspended their activity. It is crazy, crazy opportunistic. Okay, back to it. Here we go, meow. Let's talk about the number of snaps I've done. Here I said 200 or so I've done. 42 people have accepted. I want you to look at the video here. I'll take it off that share because it can be distracting. For every 5 offers that we give, one of them takes my offer. One of them lists their house, usually with us. Sometimes they maybe are shopping and they just want to know their options, but they're going to list elsewhere. But usually they're going to list with us. And the other 3 sit in what I affectionately call purgatory. It's snap offer purgatory, where they haven't made a decision yet. And those are the people that we're re-engaging our wholesale tactics with. And those are the people that we also are following and circling back with, because we think there's so much opportunity to see if they want to list their house with us down the road. So let me get back to these numbers so you can see how this goes. Flipped 24, back on market. I wholesaleed 8 of them. I have wholesaled 5 of them and kept 5 as rentals. So you can see the math right there. It has been a great run of it, and we're still chasing 112 sellers. Isn't that what we all salivate for, our listing leads? I've always said that listing leads are at like the top of the food pyramid for realtors. I'm going to say, investing leads are the top of the food pyramid. Far more opportunistic here than listing leads. Michael asked this question: in a hot open door market, how do wholesalers compete when Open Door is offering nearly what you can get them as an agent? You can't, not unless you win the relationship. And Michael, winning the relationship is huge. I am fairly confident that when Open Door and Zillow comes back and they start buying houses again, they're not going to be doing so at a retail price. Think of how many billions, if not trillions of dollars have been lost because they overextended themselves and overbought. And now with the somewhat COVID crash that our market experienced, I don't think that that these players are going to be near as aggressive on their pricing. I don't think that they're going to be offering 94 cents on the dollar. However, I will say this, Michael, is you don't have to compete with Open Door. You just have to find your opportunity. And if Open Door is there and if they're going to be willing to buy those properties at that price, you shouldn't buy them. But what you should do is get your foot in the door with these people, because your marketing gets you in the door. Show them their options. And if they want to sell to Open Door, that's awesome. Get a 1 or 2% handling fee and get Open Door's offer and Zillow's offer and OfferPad's offer and the wholesalers offer, and you present it to them and you help them win and sell at a higher price. You just won't have the investor dollars on it, but you will have the commissions on it. So great question. Let's jump back to it here. We're going to keep on diving through. Here's where I have made my money in the last 21 months. Equity. These are properties that I've purchased as rentals. I buy them, again, 70 cents on the dollar or so. I've added 130,000 in instant equity to my portfolio. Commissions. I'm paying my company when I buy it, and I pay my company when I sell it. I pay 3% when I buy, and then we pay a 6% commission when we sell, 3 to the buy and 3 to the sell. And so we've made over $500,000 gross commission. After I pay my agent gets a 35% split on that. I get $325,000 still coming back to me. That's to my company. And then investor dollars of $500,000. That's what I've made on my flips so far. Again, if I could take out that one that's lost 50 to 75,000, I would be more happy with that number. But these numbers are good. These numbers are fine. These numbers are sexy. But wholesaling are a whole new numbers. I again want to share this with you. Traditional listings, I got ahead of myself. Traditional listings are also a big, sexy appeal to offering snap offers. We've listed an additional 32 properties that have sold, and you can see the commissions that we made of 200,000 gross and 130 net. Big money. But here is the money I've made without spending a dime. Our wholesale fees, remember, I've done 5 of these. Our wholesale fees are $15,000 each. So 15,000 times 5 is $75,000 in wholesale fees. Additional meat on the bone is, as I had mentioned previously, is we've identified some properties that have, we're able to sell directly to the buyer with more margin than just that $15,000 wholesale fee. And that money comes all back to me. On the right hand of your screen is the sexiest number, and that's the investor dollars that I risked. $0. I didn't buy any of these properties. I assigned contracts, and I told the sellers, I'm not buying your house, but I'm going to try to find a buyer for it. And look at that, $115,000 of net money in 4 months without risking any money outside of my marketing. Do I have your attention yet? Because this, I didn't start with wholesaling. Had I done it, I think I would have picked up another $300,000 or $400,000 in this mix in the last 2 years. And instead, this is something just new for us. So here, I want to go back to Michael's point. Most of the time, sellers take Open Door's offer before you have a chance to get a referral fee. Open Door and Marksman are spending gazillions on ads in your market. I would say don't try to focus on a large market. Try to find a niche or a neighborhood that you can really hit and hit hard. Direct mail is going to be one of your best ways to compete with that. And I'll show you what we're using there. Ron is saying, what additional costs do you have incurred marketing dollars to get these deals? I'm going to get to that, Ron. That's a really great question. I'm going to get to that here. So let's hop back to it. Thanks for putting up with my bouncing. All right. I want you to know I'm not the only person that's doing this. Nick Shivers is the OG of this. He's in Portland, Oregon, a market where the average sales price is around $430,000. He's buying properties for 80 or 85 cents on the dollar because obviously the margins are that much bigger, or the margins can be tighter because a 1% is far different in Portland than it is in Fargo. But Nick has netted over $2.5 million in Portland. Tanya Harbin is in Abilene, Texas, and she is this quiet little warrior. She is just business savvy all day long. I have the privilege of coaching Tanya, and she's made crazy money, as you can see. And then Chad Schwindeman in a market of 60,000 people in the middle of Minnesota. This guy sells over 900 homes a year on his team. He has a market share of like 18%. It's crazy. And he's made over $1.5 million in 2 years of doing this. So I'm not the only one. There's 5 things you need. If you're taking notes, this is it. This is the meat. I spent a lot of time showing why you want to do this. I now want to show you how to do this. Okay, so we're pivoting. We exhausted the why. There's big money. There's big listing. There's awesome exposure. We're going to talk about how to do this now. The big 5 is this. First is marketing. Here's what we're doing. Do not underestimate the power of word of mouth. Telling every open house guest that comes to you, talking about it on social media, getting in contact and working with assisted living facilities, working with probate attorneys, and telling every single person you know about what you're doing. The reason why that matters so much is because it doesn't cost you anything outside of hustle and energy. And what it does is it opens up a huge opportunity for you to introduce it to them, even if they're not going to be your clients. My guess is they're going to know somebody else. They're going to know somebody else that's interested in listing this sort of way. They're going to have an aunt. They're going to have somebody who is somebody who's in pain, right? I mean, that's really these sellers. These are people who are usually in pain or despair or disarray somehow. You wanted to go back to, somebody had asked to go back to the need slide. So I'm going to see what that is here. I'm clicking the wrong way. Let me see. Needed to be successful. I'll have all 5 of these as a very clear bullet point. So these, I was short on this slide intentionally because we're going to go through each of these in depth. Okay. So sticking with marketing, the first need that we have. Second is radio, TV, and billboards. These are expensive mediums, especially if you're in a big market. In Fargo, North Dakota, my buck goes a long ways for radio, so I do radio a lot. And we tell that story, and it's been great. It has been a really high ROI. Nick Shivers has been doing billboards for years, and his billboards are his biggest ROI for this. Now, I say all that, and I would challenge you to not invest in this until you are at the right capacity for it. I know some of you on here use radio like I do. Just pivot your ads. They already have the script. Say I want what Erik has. A lot of us are in the RATES group, radio and television experts, which is an awesome way to network with great people and to grow your marketing reach. So with that, don't jump into that. As you see this is not in order. Number 1 is number 1 for a reason, because that should be number 1. Radio, TV, and billboards, super expensive medium. I would put that as number 3 or number 4. The one, if you're going to get major traction, is number 3, and that's direct mail. Direct mail, I would have guessed before I got in this, I would have said direct mail is dying, if not dead. My biggest ROI on things that I'm spending money on is with direct mail. And we use a company called REI Vault. So if you go to REI Vault, that's real estate investor, reivault.com/snap offer, you'll see exactly how we're using them. Every time I send out a postcard, between the fee and everything else is about $4,000 to $4,500. It's not cheap by any means. But every time I send out a postcard, I buy 2 listings and list 2 places. You want to talk about a return on investment is every time I buy and list a place, I think every time I spend $4,500, I get back $45,000 net. So it is a 10-to-1 ROI, I think, on direct mail. Now, I'll caution you that every market is going to be different. Okay, what plays in my market may be a little different than your market. So please don't come back to me and say, Erik said I get a 10-to-1 ROI on direct mail, and I'm not. Like, it might not work. It works in most markets. It might not work for yours. And I just put that caveat on there so you understand that there is risk in this and that each of our neighborhoods is different. Finally, digital marketing. We work with a company called Ylopo. They do some great digital ads, and they do a lot of retargeting for those people who have raised their hand already. So you need to know how to find these properties. And Ron had asked, where am I spending my money? Radio spend, I'm spending about $4,000 a month. Direct mail, I'm spending about $4,500 a month, and so $8,500 a month in total to get that out there. And we're picking up just, man, slews of business from these areas. Some of my favorite ones that I win on, though, are the ones that that somebody saw me post a before and after picture on Facebook and they bought the house. Like I bought my father-in-law's house. Crazy story. I bought my father-in-law's house last year because he needed to sell in order to buy, and they had just hoarder-like tendencies and also 2 young kids. And so as we worked through this and we had to help them out, I gave them an offer and it was higher than I usually give. And I'm like, I'm going to lose my hide on this. And we flipped this house, and they were, by the way, flipping your family's house, that is something I don't recommend, because they didn't talk to me for a month because of the changes I made. We painted all this woodwork, and yeah, they weren't happy. But I took the listing and I took some pictures right after we had the property staged, and I put it on my Facebook. And somebody reached out to me. She used to be in my youth group. She's like, this is my dream home. And I used to babysit 3 doors down from this, or whatever it was. And so she got in there and she saw the property before it even went active. This was like the same day. Wrote an offer for $10,000 over asking price because their property was contingent and they wanted to win. Well, their property sold like 2 days later. And I got, that was at that time my biggest win. And I sold it on Facebook. See, social media works, and it works a lot. You just have to be intentional on this and intentional on finding your wins. Moving on. So the right marketing, number 1. Number 2, the right dollars. You need money to buy houses. Did you know that, gang? You need money and cash to buy houses. And I recommend, if you want to make the biggest slew of money, to be your own investor. If you're going to do snap offers, you need to be your own investor. You need to use your own cash. If you're using a line of credit or hard money, take a look. Let's use that $200,000 house that you're going to buy for $140 as the example. If you are buying a house at $140,000, a line of credit is going to say you're going to need 20 to 30% down. So that probably means you're going to need about $35,000 down. Plus, you may need to finance your fit ups, or you can pay for them out of pocket. But you got to have at least 35 grand to do that example that I shared with you. If you're using hard money, you can see the interest rate is probably a lot more aggressive. However, you need maybe a little less money down, and it's less hoops to jump through than your bank. For me, I put forth about $300,000 when I started this. I pulled together some cash that I had, and you can work with REITs, you can form your own investment group, you can find another investor, whatever it may be. You don't have to have all the cash, because you may be the cash king of the things that flow to them. But what I did is I took $300,000 of my own cash and I put it in there. And I haven't taken a dime out. I'm just recycling that money. And I want to share this with you. You take $10,000 and if you invest it in an iBuyer or a snap offer movement, $10,000. My prediction is, and my average is, I'm profiting 10 to 15% per house, per deal, okay? So not a wholesale or anything else. When I'm flipping it, I'm profiting 10 to 15%. I can do that in 120 days. So I can take my $10,000, make a 12% return, and I can do that 3 times in a year. If I do that 3 times in a year consistently and continue to recycle my money, I can turn $10,000 compounding into $1 million in less than 15 years. Whoa. I put $300,000 in. And if that math works out, that means that in 15 years, I can turn $300,000 into $30 million. That's a net profit. And I'm on my way. I'm at the beginning. You're here still at the beginning stages. I can't wait to do this, down the road and say, yes, my math was right. This is exactly where it came. But here's where I want to draw your attention, is to number 2 on the screen, to partner with your own investors. This means finding buyers. This means finding other investors. And if you're going to be paying those marketing fees that I had just voiced to you of radio and billboards and direct mail, you have to have a return on the investment, either in wholesale fees or by getting a share of the profit, because otherwise it is not worth spending $8,000 to $10,000 a month on to add just a couple more listings. We need to have a very intentional return on your investment there. So we had first the right marketing, then the right dollars. Now we have the right team and systems. This matters a lot, gang. The right GC. I'm on my 5th general contractor in 42 deals. We finally found the right one, but the other ones, We're slow. I have a guy right now who I gave a one-off deal to. He said it would take 45 days. This was back in October. He said it would take 45 days. We were supposed to be finished the first week in December. Here it is May 7th today, and he's still not finished. He's 5 months late. I'm losing my mind right now with this guy. I can't take it. And so getting the right general contractor and holding them to really high standards of honoring their bids and honoring their timelines, it matters. Also, flooring, painting, inspector, title, insurance, and more. And I'll use this as an example, as this is a way in which you can find a really big win in doing this and letting your team know, letting your community know. It was a Wednesday, and we had a closing set for a Friday. We were representing the seller, and they were also buying a property. They were buying their dream house with us. And the buyer backed out on our seller's property on Wednesday. They were freaked out because they couldn't close, and they know that they would lose their buy if they couldn't get this done. And so their agent came to me and said, Eric, would you give John and Sally a snap offer? And so I gave them a snap offer within about 20 minutes. I know what the property appraised for. It was a really sellable product. And so my margin, I put a little more meat on the bone for them because I didn't have as much risk. It felt really predictable of what I knew would happen with it. And so I give them the offer on Wednesday. Remember, they're supposed to close on Friday. Thursday, they accept my offer. Thursday morning at about 9 a.m., they accept my offer. And they said, can we still close Friday? I have to get my bank to authorize these funds because, yes, I could have paid cash for it. It was about $140,000. I could have paid cash, but I didn't want to tie up $140,000 for that long. I need to keep using my money to cycle it in and out. And so I had to use my line of credit. I had to work with the title company. I had to get everything done. I had to have my stager set up, all those things. And we closed 24 hours later. We kept all the dominoes intact. I made about $15,000 on the deal. It wasn't like a huge home run, but I was a hero to them. And me being a hero made me an extra $15,000. Having the right team matters, and it matters more than you know. Number 4, a list of investor buyers. This is if you're going through the wholesale opportunity, if that's going to be your track, is you don't want to be putting your own cash out there, and instead you want to be finding other buyers. Remember, a wholesale opportunity is you identifying a property, getting that number from the seller that they agree to, and then selling it to an investor off market. Heck, you can even sometimes sell it on market, but each MLS is going to have different rules, and you've got to work through that, and they are big headaches. But let me say this, is here's how you find these investor buyers. This is just scratching the surface. The first is your database. In our database, we use Sierra Interactive. I bet we have 50,000 people right now. And I can make a quick video saying, are there any investors looking to find off-market deals at a discounted price? Yes, I know we have the clear cooperation, clear communication rules now, but there are ways to message that and get that out there for you to get in front of your database. You're going to find some people are raising their hands saying, I'm interested in doing that. I'm interested in being a cash buyer. And when we say cash buyer, that usually means a bank loan that is in-house rather than going to Fannie or Freddie. The second is your title company. You can work with your title company, and oftentimes they have lists where they can say, here's a list of all the cash transactions that we've done in the last 12 months. Here's the addresses of all these places. So you get those addresses, you start messaging those people that you have off-market opportunities that they can buy at a discount. I love people who are renting their houses right now, because what they are is they're usually investors. If they're not working with a property manager, and you go on Zillow and you can find those people, guess what? You already have their phone number. And so you call them up, you go beep, bop, boop, 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 and you call them and you say, hey, this is Eric with Hatch Realty. I saw your listing on Zillow that you're looking to rent it. I'm curious if you're having any luck or if you're interested in selling this property. No, we're having luck. Like I'm going to hang on to it. Oh, so you're an investor. Are you interested in some other deals? Because we actually have this new program called Snap Offers where we can get you off-market deals at a discounted price. Really? They say, you're the coolest guy ever. They've never said that, but I'm just imagining what they're thinking. So you can find those people on Zillow, Craigslist, Facebook, people that are looking to rent their properties on their own. And they're investors, right? Isn't that who you need to get on your buy list, or investors? They're already raising their hand for you. Now, you can also purchase some lists from different companies. I'm not going to go into all those details. You can work with other realtors in the MLS. The 80-20 rule is probably more like the 90-10 rule, that 90% of the business is done by 10% of the people. And you can go through and scan the MLS and see who's been working with investor buyers. Like if you're going to take that wholesale fee of $15,000 and you pay out a 3% commission on that $140,000 house that I mentioned, that's $4,200, but you're still making $10,800. No, is my math? Yeah, $10,800, which is way better than just a commission. And by the way, it's so much less work. Finally, I have a buddy, his name's David Dodge. You should Google him and see what he's doing with his wholesale stuff on YouTube as well. But he wrote a book that's been really great and an important tool in our repertoire called The Ultimate Guide to Wholesaling Real Estate. Finally, here is my only pitch that I have is if you're listening to this saying, you know what, I want to do this. I want to jump in and I want to do the iBuyer movement. I want to jump in and I want to start activating this, because right now, here's what we know. Markets are usually on 7-year cycles, and the hardest time to invest is at the tail end of a cycle. Well, wouldn't you know, COVID has changed our market, and we have been on this 7-year cycle for about 9 years, from 2011 till today. And now we're being reintroduced to more opportunity. If you don't think that there's more opportunity out there for people to want to sell directly to an investor today than yesterday, you have your head in the sand. People want to avoid uncertainty and people walking through their properties more than ever. And so what we've done is, remember, Hatch Realty over here, we test, we create, we implement, we learn, and then we share it with Hatch Coaching. So we said, all right, I worked and I built a website and I worked with a lawyer to develop all of our stuff, and we built all this marketing things. I had 100 hours invested and probably $10,000 to $15,000 in expenses. All money well spent based on everything that I shared with you. But remember, I have this beautiful little coaching bucket over here, and we said, why don't we just share this with people? And there has to be other realtors out there that just want to rip off and duplicate. By the way, if you rip off and duplicate this and just do your own thing, sweet. The only proprietary thing I have is the name Snap Offer that we trademarked. And so those that are with us get to use it, and if not, figure something else out. But what we did is we took all those things I mentioned and we bundled them into a basic toolbox. It's like you're franchising, right? It's a one-time fee, $2,000. If you go and do it yourself, it's going to take a lot of time and it's going to cost you more than $2,000. I can guarantee you that. But if you want to jump in and get rolling today, we can literally have this to you in 24 hours. And you can have everything up, ready to go. You still have to figure out your marketing. You still have to figure out your investors, all that. But we want to help you win and help you to have a platform that you can implement right away. The second piece is for anybody. You don't have to be a Snap Offer user. I know some of you on this are already doing this. We have an iBuyer mastermind that exists on Facebook. My job is to bring really great content and to facilitate an environment for conversation. So as an example, I just had my friend Denise, who owns an assisted living facility. We interviewed her this week and shared it with the group and had everybody call on that wanted to join. And she talked about how we've worked with her. I've bought 2 properties from working directly with her because they have people coming in all the time that need to sell their house to qualify for Medicare or Medicaid. And we worked to develop that extra marketing strategy that doesn't cost anything. And the people in our group now can copy that. They'll learn that strategy, and we're just providing a ton of content in there. It's $250 a month. It's a really low point of entry, and you're going to get out of it what you put into it. Even if you're thinking, should I get into this? What do I need to know? I've made dozens of videos at this point and put everything I possibly can, because I want my playbook to be your playbook in there. And it's just going to be you getting the gumption to put this together and act on it. But it's $250 for the mastermind, and that's a monthly. You don't have to be a Snap Offer user to use it, but I think that is about the best money you can spend when it comes to this, because knowledge is power. And then our Snap Offer platform is a $2,000 one-time fee. We can, for another $500, build you a website too that's hosted and run by Cast Services. They build some really nice, clean websites. But for me, I just run it off of my regular website, and I put another tab on there. So with that, I hope you're seeing where the opportunity is. If you didn't see the opportunity, I don't know what you were listening to, frankly. But what I do want to bring to your attention more than anything else is this wholesale opportunity is a way for you to not have to spend a ton of cash in order to make crazy returns. Remember, I've made $115,000 between wholesale fees and extra meat on the bone without having to buy a single property, and I've done that in 4 months. I'm going to put my kids through the finest schools in the world by doing this. And it is at your fingertips. If there's other players in your market, it doesn't matter. This is about relationships and hyper-focus. If there's big competitors, the Mark Spains and the Zillows and the Open Doors and OfferPads of the world, it doesn't matter. Getting that market and that messaging out there will give you more wins than you know, because these people have suspended their activity for now, and this is a chance for you to greenlight it. So with that, we're going to send you an email follow-up with this, with some links and some information that will help you to grow and to go. If you have any interest in jumping on board with us, just let me know. We'll hop on a call and I can answer any questions you have before we pull the trigger. Otherwise, I want to shut my mouth. I want to see if there's any other questions that people have or takeaways before we wrap here today. So I'll give it just a few seconds. Now, I'm not seeing any right now. Again, thanks for your time today. Most of you are watching the recording of this, but some of you are watching the live version, and thanks for tuning in either way. Hatch Coaching is going to continue to put out a ton of content. If you haven't subscribed to our YouTube page yet, please do so. Our YouTube channel is pretty awesome. And that YouTube channel, we are confident is going to help impact you, your team, and your business. Ashley, where to get more on the toolbox, I'm going to actually post it right in here. I'm going to provide a link for you. And that link, you can sign up so we can have a consult and see what we can do to make it right for you. I'll dive into exactly what that toolbox is, and it'll be super easy for you. So just schedule something on my calendar here. And this is for anybody who wants to connect to the, either pull the trigger on the toolbox or that wants to join the iBuyer Mastermind. So I put it there in the chat. Calendly.com/Erik Hatch. That's Erik with a K, Hatch, /30 minutes. So with that, any other final questions? I'll stick around here, but I'll stop the recording. God bless y'all. Thanks for doing this. I hope you can do something here to rise the tide in your world and to start capitalizing like we have, because I never thought it was possible. And now all of a sudden, I'm making more money on this than I am running my dang real estate team. So I don't know what you're waiting for. Frankly, let's jump, let's dance, and God bless you.